truNdeed with you, Holy Circle Gaming. Thank you for rocking with your boy. I definitely appreciate it. As you can well see, I'm doing something different, but there is a good reason why. I just got word yesterday that they're shutting down Maxis games. Now, I feel real heartbroken for that team, man. EA kind of did them a little bit of a disservice by, cutting them off of the ranks and whatnot. And, it's really tough for me because, what it comes to prove to me first and foremost that there's not much loyalty in gaming, at least in regards to like, teams, production companies taking on their teams, and keeping them there long term. Granted, Maxis is probably one of the longest standing of the gaming companies, of the smaller outfits that produces the games, but still, I think EA did them a little bit of a disservice by cutting them off. I really truly hope that they, find a home someplace else or go independent and do their own thing and, still continue to generate some games, man. I understand, I understand what people were thinking about, the last couple of iterations of, the Sims. I know Sims 4 was, coming along, becoming really, really great. I understand that. I also understand that, like the Sim City wasn't at its greatest. Digging that. I understand that. Dig that like a shovel. But you know what? The Sims, SimCity and the Team Maxis, they're a great team, and they generated game after game after game that all of us love and play, man. And this one right here, Sims 3, is one of those great games. I remember when the original Sims came out, and I was the first to say this will be one of those games I will sit there and revolutionize what gaming is. It really will. And with that being said, it really did. A lot of things that you could do in, some of the more modern games now is really due to what Will Wright's vision was with games like SimCity and with this game, The Sims, both of which were really good. With SimCity, it told you how to design buildings and, really go through a detail of, how to lay the water, water pipes the correct way, how to, build the buildings with the right zoning, actual foundations of building an actual city even to this day. With the Sims, it's just like he said, it's like a virtual dollhouse. You could build and create whatever you want. You could create your own houses, you could create your own stories, you could create your own characters to look like however way you want to look like. I know you see my character right now is a little bit more basic and whatnot. I understand, but guess what? This is really what The Sims was built upon. You could play it, you could envision it any way you really want to, and that's what made Max's team really, really special. Is because these are the games that they generated that really spans a generation. I know many generations of kids and adults at this juncture now who's really being involved with, with The Sims and with SimCity and stuff and really building. You can see many of videos and whatnot where you can see, story designs that have The Sims on there with their own stories and stuff. Even to this day, my daughter was sitting there watching videos of The Sims, watching stories that fans created about The Sims in regards to Sims 3, the same game that I'm sitting here playing right now. So that's why I said it could span generations. She's 9, I'm 39. So you can see the generational gap between us and how good it really was, and I feel bad for him because, we still need games like this, something fun, something creative, something, out of the box, something that was really revolutionary. I know it's not revolutionary to what y'all think now, but at that point in gaming, especially in the early 90s, mid 90s, it was very revolutionary in gaming. They didn't see it before. And, it was Team Maxis that really did it, and I have a story to go along with it as well. With my story, I started off with the Maxis games playing one specific one And that was, Sim City. And the way I became to play Sim City 2000 was through my boy Tony and, his now wife Dawn. And, I remember taking a trip, and I have the story for you, so here it goes. Remember taking a trip, I'm in California, coming in from Long Beach State, and we're going to Temecula, California. Now, in traffic on a Friday, that's about a 3-hour trip. And we packed it up, and, Tony asked Cab, you want to come through? You want to hang out? I'm like, all right, bet. Let's go up there and hang out, do our thing, whatever. And so we did make that trip. We picked up his now wife, and we ran out to Temecula over to his house, listening to Ace of Base, and a little bit of a quick side story. I know y'all wouldn't think that, I don't rock with Ace of Base, but that was the first time I was exposed to that style of music, and I really liked that as well. And so once we get down to Temecula, he was like, man, I got a game I want you to try out. And, he turned on his computer, popped the disc in, fired it up, and it was Sim City. Do you know I sat there on that game for a cool couple of hours easy? It took me almost clear into the nighttime. We was up there, had dinner, came back, played the game. We was making smoothies, came back and played the game. I was playing that game almost all night until I basically crashed out. That's how sincere I was about that game, like real sincere. And that was SimCity 2000 way back in the day when I was in college. And from there, I just branched off and rolled with it. I still rolled with SimCity. I was trying to find a way to get that game, in my house. At the time, I didn't have a computer, but I played it on my Sega Genesis. Played it on my Sega Saturn. I played it on, multiple consoles till I had a point where I could get my own computer and play it on the computer. But that was the way that I rocked with Sim City in particular. When The Sims came out, man, I remember looking for that game on eBay. It was so sincere that I really wanted to play the original version of The Sims, because I knew when I first saw the first plug that Will Wright did for The Sims, I was like, that is the game, that is official, like real talk, really official. And so, I was really about, playing, The Sims. And I played that game diligently, created characters, made the stories around it. I was really into Sims, to The Sims as well. And so I was playing day and night strong. I was firm on it. Even to this day, I kind of bounce in and out of, playing The Sims. I don't play it as consistent as I used to, but it's one of those games that you could never ever really go away from. It's always a game that you can sit there and be like, oh, let me go in here and play a little bit on The Sims, or let me go in and work a little bit more on my Sim City. I always use it as my bounce back game. So if I'm playing something like, Tiger Woods or Madden or 2K, one of the sports games, I may bounce back and still play The Sims or Sim City too. And one of those games that Maxis came out with that was a sleeper hit was Sim Golf. Now, I was all on Sim Golf too. When I got my computer intact, that was the game that I sat there. I created my own courses and whatnot. Oh, I was really all in. So, I just want to throw a little bit of a push real quick. First and foremost, man, really throwing a shout out to my boy Tony and Don. I rock this for them, because if it wasn't for them, I don't know if I even would have been exposed to play Sim City to even get me to the point to play The Sim, because I really just didn't know. And it was really due to them that I got involved in that portion of gaming. So this goes into that portion of, really, why I game. One of the reasons why I game and why I play The Sims, why I play Sim City, is really kind of due to them, believe it or not. So, it's interesting to see, man, and you can see how this game flows. You could do so many different things within the game. Create your own story. If you want to have your character watch TV, they can watch TV. I got my character right now. He's getting his guitar on because I'm inspiring him to be a musician, as you well see. He wants to be a movie composer, but in that regard, you can play music to get your creativity skills up. You could give him certain jobs, certain, aspects. You could to get them whatever you want. And this is just in the basic version, believe it or not. And you know, where people have more of the fan created, you know, items and fan created wallpapers and fan created faces and characters, I've seen people with, you know, star characters in the game, you know, Katy Perry's and Britney Spears in the game. I remember they were doing Britney Spears way back in Sims 2, believe it or not, and they had her character in there, and I remember they designed many of stars with their characters in there. In addition to, you know, they were in addition to, they were doing, like, you know, different colors of houses, different ways to design houses. I remember, you know, looking at other fan created you know, Sims and Sim characters and stuff in Sim houses, and a part of it was who had the freshest, like, house design. So it was really official to be bad. So I do feel, you know, really heartbroken that Maxis is shutting down due to EA trying to cut them off. And I really, like I said, feel that it was a disservice. I know that Sim, you know, the latest iteration of the Sims, you know, is doing pretty well thus far. Not great, not horrible. And I understand we're in a different time of gaming as well. We're in a time of gaming where it is more about the fast pace, the first person shooters, or them hybrid games like League of Legends, things like that, you know, a bunch of the MOBAs. I know we're in that type of gaming, but I still also know that there's a big market for games like this too, where you can sit there and, you know, create these, build them, create type games. This is a type of game that I would teach my kids how to play and let them become creative, you know, see what they come up with, see what their house designs would be, see if they would be any different than the ones that I have on mine, see if they'll do something, you know, out of the box, out of the ordinary, you know, because that's the one thing about The Sims is, and you know, and a lot of the games that, you know, Will Wright and Max has made, that it allowed you to be creative. And I think we need to get back to that era where we are being a little bit more creative, you know, with what we do. And so that's why I want to do a little bit of a shout out to them. I know you see me rocking with my character. You saw him kind of get his TV on. I'm gonna go ahead and get him to clean up his leftovers and whatnot. I know he haven't had no friends or whatnot. I'm actually gonna drop him in the shower as well. I think I need to pop him in the shower, and I need to self clean my shower before it breaks. So. But yeah, I know, and I remember, you see this right here? You see them blocking out the that was their way to do the censorship back in the day. So when they did the shower and stuff, they would actually block it out with pixels. That was hilarious. But I guess they worked because, you know, it was the way to keep everything, you know, PG-13 to the most part, because it would really get real bad if they didn't do it that way. So this is kind of how my basic house looks like. It's nothing really like super special, I tell you that. You know, my house could be a little bit boring. Let me go ahead and put the top on real quick. See, basic roof, basic house. Don't really have nothing in the field just yet. I haven't put that much work into it, but you know, I just been like on the basic tip working that out. So, but yeah, you know, it's one of those things where. You know, I love playing The Sims. I will always dip back into it from time to time. You know, I remember the addition of cars. I mean, at first they didn't have cars in The Sims, and now they could drive cars around and stuff. You know, I remember the cooking was just basic cooking. Now you gotta go and get groceries like it's a real life. So it's, you know, they really became real creative. So feel real bad about Maxis shutting down, but in the same sense, you know, I hope they go on to do, you know, bigger and better, believe it or not. And, you know, and like I said, my affinity about it is, and part of the reason why I game is because of, you know, companies like Maxis, who branched out and said, look, I'm going to create a game that's a little bit different than the norm and let y'all just create. So shout out to Maxis, you know, shout out to the ace and queen of hearts, Tony and Don. You know, I appreciate you getting me, you know, exposed on games like this that got me on that point. And, you know, we'll go from there. So just a little quick post right there. I know you see a little bit of the gameplay, game structure and stuff. So I hope you like that little bit of a quick blog. I'll probably have another one up and posted at a later point in time. So until then, I appreciate you rocking with your boy. This is truNdeed. God above everything.